go, in and out, 20 minutes adventure.
Alright everyone, let's try to keep this short and to the point so we can get right through this. I'm going to cover 4 main things: how we're dealing with the puddles and positioning, how we're dealing with the adds and tanking, the dance for the dragon breath during phase 2, and then the final rush at the very end. So let's just get to it. So for phase 1 positioning, we're going to be putting ourselves in the corner of the room, and the boss is going to be tanked towards the center like this. The entire raid is to the back and between the wall. This way they can drop off puddles, and we're also going to be taking the big ad on top of the boss. This will make sense in a little bit. So the idea of the puddles is that you're always dropping them off as far as you can along the back wall. But there'll be some nooks and crannies that'll be patched in later. An example of this will come up in just a second, where if you get it, and you can fill in again as close to a wall as possible, you should. Just so that way when the dragon lands or throughout the phase, we'll just move the boss forward and the old puddles act as the new wall. But it's pretty much always the exact same boss position. While it is the end of the world if the puddles aren't perfectly put along the back wall, if it's consistently messed up and put directly behind the boss every time, we run into a situation like this where we have really awkward positioning, potentially in phase 1 or even worse in phase 2, and we just need to move the boss further along sooner in the phase. So it just makes it more hectic, but this can just be avoided if you put the puddles to the side whenever possible. Now for the adds, like I said earlier, we're going to be tanking the Ascendant ad with the Annihilation Beam on top of the boss. This is that way when the adds spawn, which you can see now happening in the back. We can just shoot the laser directly from the boss to the adds wherever they are, and everyone else just needs to adjust to get out of the beam. You can see here the entire raid moves to the side, so the tank has a straight path to the laser. Now for the adds, we're going to entirely focus on boss damage. The adds will just either die due to the massive amount of cleave that our comp has, or to the laser from the Ascendant. We're not going to do anything special where we force the Ascendant alive. If it dies, it dies. Either way, the adds will just fall over, so just make sure you're hitting the boss. That being said, because most random deaths will come from the Enforcer, we might call for people to swap to single target that down, as its smash will basically one-shot you. Now the dragon phase will have us starting on the far side of the room, and then when it comes down we're going to go to the opposite edge while the tanks drag the ad in a straight line across. There's a brutal smash happening during this that you need to watch out for, and also the laser is going to be shot back from where we came from, so be out of the way of that. Otherwise, when we're on the far side, we wait for the dragon to show up here, and then we dance to the middle of the room, again dodging more tank lasers. Once the dragon decides to come down the center of the room, we go back towards the edge, and phase 1 just repeats itself. You don't really need movement speed abilities to dodge during this, so do be sure to save them for the brutal smash. And stay out of the line of the laser, which will always be sent perpendicular to the room, directly across. Now for the final phase, what we're going to do is pull the boss to the far side of the room away from the puddles that we've currently been stacking up, and the dragon's breath is going to come out shortly after that. This phase is mostly just a dance from the side of the room where we start towards the center, and then back and forth and back and forth. There's a lot more time between the breaths, so it's fairly straightforward to dodge as long as you're paying attention. The other main things that are happening during this phase is there's a lot more raid damage since the corruption is stacking up on everyone, and we also have to deal with 2 mechanics. One is Desolation, which just happened, where either melee or some people we assign to Immunity Soak stack with the tank, and the other is Heart of Darkness, which you just saw there, where the melee come out to range for a healing CD, and then just go right back in afterwards. But other than that, it's just dodge, deal with either Desolation or the Heart of Darkness, dodge back again, and it just repeats. There's a lot of damage that comes out, so we're going to put Salvation and Devo and stuff like that towards the very end. But the boss eventually just falls over. You really just don't die to the breath, and it eventually just gets there. It's not too bad, and I think if we can perfect the breath dancing, this boss should fall over in a couple of pools. So hopefully, let's get there.
Seriously, we almost died.
So you agree?
Yes, this was insane. That was pure luck. I was not in control of that situation at all.